start by addressing all of you who recommended I start using a coaster when I have a drink at my desk. I appreciate the advice. We showed a picture of a stand-up flyer of mine, and someone said that is a bad flyer because there's no date, time, or place. Well, I guess that explains why it was so poorly attended. A cowboy's rope is called a lariat. Lasso is what you do with it. There's no faster way to reveal yourself as a layman to a cowboy than by calling it a lasso. The second fastest way to reveal yourself as a layman is every time a male horse pees, you say, "Oh my God!" Once a pumpkin is carved, it is no longer a pumpkin, it's a jack-o'-lantern. Fine. An ornithologist wrote in. Said there's no such thing as a seagull. They're called herring gulls. That's not what I'm hearing. Trump's plane is a 757, not a 747. However, when Trump's doctor gave the plane a physical, he said it was a 215. Topical. I read the research. We talked about the artist TJ, who drew the photo of Scollins in a tank top and then wore it to the show on a tank top. And someone said he looks like an unkempt Hunter Biden. To which I'll say, since when is Hunter Biden kempt? Had a joke about a Ford Escort. Multiple people wrote in to say the Ford Escort we showed was the European Ford Escort that was never available in the States. You all said it was a better Ford Escort, but did not work with our joke about a county fair. Long story short, we have a foreign exchange student in the graphics department. Not my favorite. And I'll go down and be like, hey, just in the future, use the American. He's like, yes, but there was one, yeah. There was also a European Ford Escort, it was better. And I'm like, Francois, just, he's like, yeah, well, maybe you could have Sal choose a car that did not have a European one. If you leave it up to me, I'm going to choose the best. Very quiet. Oh. We made a joke about Kyrgyzstan needing more vowels. Someone wrote in and said, Kyrgyzstan has 3 vowels and 7 consonants, which is pretty balanced. The 2 Ys are both vowels. I will respond to this Kyrgyzstan correction with a famous quote from neighboring Kazakhstan. My wife. We said a 17-year-old carnival worker. A bunch of you said, this dude's not 17. All I'll say is the carnival life is unforgiving. You know how many times this guy's watched a kid barf up a funnel cake? It'll age ya. We talked about a county fair and sort of one of those dangerous roller coasters, and I said in the wheel well, like rattling around in the wheel well, you saw an ankle bone. A bunch of you said there's no such thing as a human ankle bone. The ankle is a joint made up of 3 bones, the talus, the tibia, and the fibula. The thing is, there is a risk of being too specific when you tell a joke. I think if you say, talus or tibia instead of ankle bone, I would worry that I would be stealing moves from Dennis Miller, the sort of king of specificity. I think he could get away with that, but I want to sort of fall back on ankle bone, I don't want to be out there being like, bought a ticket on the Jackrabbit from a kid with deader eyes than Boo Radley. Look down in the wheel well, there's a talus banging against the tibia like the ball bearings in Captain Queeg's hand. That's his. Doritos are not potato chips, they're corn chips. We talked about throwing a Dorito to a bunch of pigeons, and that was incorrect. If you throw a potato chip to a bunch of pigeons on a beach, as we established in the closer look, they would be like, "Mah, mah, mah, mah." If it's a corn chip, they're like, "Mah, mah, 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 mah." Tampa has a great airport. Kind of joke down Tampa, but I was in their airport this summer. It's an outstanding airport. And the only thing I'd say to the people of Tampa is like, sometimes I just have to sort of throw chum to the liberal elites that watch this show, I want to be a talk show host for all America. It's tough. Oh, we said there was a Subway sandwich called the Rudy that was 2 pieces of bread. All it was 2 pieces of bread and a bunch of nuts. But old graphics was like, and lettuce. We thought the lettuce was implied. Why did you hear from 100 ass? Also, someone said there are peanuts and cashews in there. Those aren't nuts. Peanuts and cashews aren't nuts. Ankles aren't bones. There's no such thing as seagulls. It's fun doing a show for you. It's fun. Oh, we talked about Trump wearing Hannibal Lecter's mask to stop him from speaking. Hannibal Lecter's mask did not stop him from speaking. There's a whole scene where he talks through it. It stopped him from biting. That movie's so good. I love that movie. The movie is terrifying, wonderfully acted, written, directed. It's so funny looking back that the main thing the villain did was bite people. Like to the degree, because anybody can bite. But his biting was so good they had to take extra steps to prevent him from biting. And even after they did that, he still got a lot of bites in. Like he's strapped down like this, and they still were like, let's put a thing here. All you'd have to say is like, just don't get in the bite zone. And someone was like, yeah, I think we just put the mask on. They were like, how good is he at biting? They're like, he's so good. So many steps so that he wouldn't bite anybody, and everybody gets bitten. I feel like if you were a prison guard who got bit by Hannibal Lecter, you just want him to finish the job and eat you up. Because you'd be, if the other prison guards saw it, then you would get so much grief. They'd be like, hey, Joe, I can't help but notice you got a bite marks on your cheek there. Yeah, I got bit. Who was it, Joe? Which one of the prisoners? You. Oh, it was. I keep saying acai berry. It's pronounced acai. And to that I say, ugh. Or better yet, ugh. Let's see. McDonald's We made a joke about how McDonald's shut down their ball pits because they kept finding dead bodies in them. There is still one active ball pit in America. It's in Marlborough, Mass. So apologies. I guess people still go into that ball pit every day. But here's a cool fact. No one leaves. Yeah. Sometimes you get the camera shot just right and it doesn't pay off. We said this is the sound of Wile E. Coyote falling off a cliff, and we replaced it with the gavel hitting the lectern. But someone said that's not the sound of him falling off a cliff. It's the sound of him hitting the ground. And also, when the coyote hits the ground, you wouldn't hear the sound right away. You'd hear it like 2 seconds later as the sound traveled back up. So we redid it. Here is the sound of Wile E. Coyote hitting the ground. Fuck off! We busted Wally in yesterday's Closer Look for having, he had a line in Monday's Closer Look. The line was, well, Seth, and he thought it was short enough that he wouldn't need one of his other guys to hold his cue cards. And then we saw in the edit that he had something written on his hand, and we zoomed in and it said, well, Seth. So obviously, and Wally's since explained it, he just, you know, he had some other cues he wanted to make. He's a professional. And I didn't want to call attention to it. It was Sal. It's so weird because no one is more pro-labor than Sal. I mean, Sal is the most pro-labor person I've ever met. Sal wrote an incredible piece in the New Republic about the writer's strike. It's really a beautiful, no surprise piece of writing from Sal. He's got this weird blind spot about cue card guys, though. He just, he treats them bad. Behind his back, they all call him Boss Gentile. And he's always telling us we should do the show without him. And I'm like, we can't do the show without him. He's like, we could if you'd memorize your lines. They're my words, don't you see? They're just moving them from one place to the other, but oh, they're the heroes. It's very ugly. He's so mean to Wally. Wally'd be like, how was your weekend, Sal? He's like, oh, it was wonderful, Wally. I went to the teleprompter shop. Brought my wife and my mistress. I said, ladies, you can pick one out. Your days are numbered, Wally. Oh, I can see it now. Here lies cue card Wally, cause of death, march of time. I mentioned the chemical in thermal receipts. I was told it should be pronounced the way you say biscuit. So I said bisphenol, but I should have said biscuit. I said I didn't know football games had ushers because I get taken straight to a luxury box. Someone said, who takes you if not an usher? Well, my personal manservant. I'm not gonna let a stranger take me to a box. Kidnapped much? Here's a question, we've dealt with this before. Is the Speaker of the House second in line to the presidency, or are they third in line? It goes President, Vice President, Speaker of the House. We wanted to clarify it. We actually looked in the Constitution, and it says there, and I quote, it's whatever one you want it to be. Here's a comment we got this week. This is in the comment section. Someone decided, watching it, and they're like, I want to make sure I write this down. I want to make sure they see it. What the is this boring, stupid show? That's a good question. Here's one for you. Why the are you watching it? Like, what are you doing? Like, we all know what this is. All right? The jackals know what it is. I know what it is. We like this little thing we have. You don't gotta watch it, man. Why did the YouTube algorithm even show it to you? Did you watch another video where a guy made, like, dog toys with human heads hump? You gotta walk in and be like, what the? You're like somebody who goes to a Renaissance fair and you're like, do you guys not know what year it is? We're having fun, dude. Eat your turkey leg and drink your mead out of a Solo cup or get the out of here. Doth that make sense? We had a joke, a woman. The story was that a woman in Australia is recovering after she tried to rescue a platypus with her bare hands and was stabbed with its poisonous spurs. It's not poison, it's venom. Venom is injected. Poison is ingested. Now we know. Then I went off script, which I'm allowed to do. And I mimed, because I know one or two things about platypuses, that they also lay eggs. So I mimed it laying an egg. So it turns out a lot of you know like 300 to 400 things about platypuses. It said only the male has the venom-delivering spur, so it couldn't lay an egg. So many of you said that. I'm assuming all Australian viewers, so I just like to say, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Oh, fellas, I've done you a grave injustice. Oh, this has been Animal Flubs.
Animal Flubs, Animal Flubs. It's time to take a look at some Animal Flubs. From the bears to the bees to the baby bear cubs. It's time for Animal.
What am I? How am I even a thing? It's so weird I exist. Do I serve any purpose? Do you know how most platypuses die? It's when they first see a mirror. And they're so bummed out that they eat their own venom, at which point the venom becomes poison because it's ingested. Back to you, Koala.
The was that? What the is this boring, stupid show? Stevie Nicks doesn't wear scarves. She wears shawls. So at least we finally got to the bottom of why those jokes haven't been landing. A lot of people said the real Scarf King would be, here are some of the choices: Lenny Kravitz, Little Steven from the E Street Band. Steven Tyler got the most answers. True story, Steven Tyler's dad was Shoemaker's music teacher in high school. And if you don't think Shoemaker brings that up every time an Aerosmith song plays, dream on. Let's see. Stevie next week.